That's Nick Garnett in Kirklees, which is the area with the highest amount of recycling being rejected. Let's speak to Wayne Priestley, who's the Environmental Advisor for the Association for Public Service Excellence, advises councils across the UK on best practice. Thanks very much for speaking to us, Wayne. Why are councils limited in what they can and can't collect and recycle?
Well, the big problem lately is that a lot of the material reclamation facilities, which is the basic places that take this material, have been forced to try and create better quality recyclers than they have in the past. So certainly they're getting far more picky about what they will and will not accept. But to be fair to them, the big problem is, at the end of the day, it has to go to an end user who uses it to reprocess it into different materials. And it's the quality that has to be the highest possible. And as a consequence, material reclamation facilities are being more picky about it, which is being pushed back on local authorities who are having to make sure that the stuff they collect is not contaminated. And the only way they can do that is to re-educate the public. And obviously, as your report has showed, there is still quite a bit of confusion amongst public as to what and what can't be recycled.
Well, it doesn't help, does it, that there's 300 different sets of standards?
Well, I think that's a bit high, actually, because I know, for instance...
Even if it was half that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big problem. You have... Local authorities are often tied into different contracts because they started to recycle at different times. So, for instance, you might find one authority where a contamination rate of 10% is acceptable, another one where it's 3% acceptable. Some authorities may have very high technological plants that can deal with a certain level of contamination. Others might not yet. It very much depends on what the local authority's situation is. And certainly with the cuts that local authorities are facing, it's not making it any easier in relation to addressing some of these problems.
Wayne, there's only time for one more question, but I'd love you to answer the one that I've always wondered about. When I look at my recycling bin...
This is a personal question now, Wayne.
I think
we're going to waste our final question to you on a bugbear
Many
of
people will, and I'm going to chuck in one for your dad as well, which is when you look at your recycling, on the lid it says no plastic bags. You open it up to put in your recycling, and then there's people who've put their recycling in a plastic bag. You see people with lids on their milk bottles, lids on the wine bottles. What happens? Is that whole bin wasted? Should I not bother putting my recycling in there? Is it going to be rejected as well?
There's a certain tolerance level, as you say. I mean, you're talking about contamination levels of 14% in Kirklees, but the average across the UK is 3%. So we shouldn't forget that 97% of everything that's being put out there is recycled. You get some minor elements. The big issue really is to make sure that when you put your recyclable materials in, they're in the best state possible. So if you have got a wine bottle with a lid on, take the lid off. If you've got a fast food carton in there, if you can wash it out, do that. Don't use fresh water. Use the water you've washed your pots in so you're not wasting water. The bottom line is we do have a responsibility to check our waste and do it as well as possible, because we don't want to be putting it in landfill and leaving our next generations to have to deal with the waste we created. It's morally wrong, so we'd all have a duty to recycle the best we can.
A tiny, tiny question for you. How many of those end users do we have in this country, those people that take all this waste and to very, very high standards now?
Well, it will certainly grow now because of the fact that in the past a lot of waste, not just the UK, across Europe and America also, was sent out to third world countries who are now themselves saying, look, enough is enough of some of this waste you're sending us. We want high quality waste. Now, if we create high quality waste, that gives a good feedstock for reprocess to set up industries in the UK. So that's something that would be a benefit if people can improve the quality of the recyclers that they put in the bins.
Very interesting to talk to you, Wayne. Thank you very much. That's Wayne Priestley. Thanks. He's Environmental Advisor for the Association of Public Service Excellence. Loads more to come on the programme.